You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org. Okay,
All right, we called a meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board to order, given that it's 6:30 and we like to start on time here. Can we do a roll call?
Yes.
Laura?
Jen Birchfield, here. Dennis Britton,
Here?
Dominique Edwards. Betsy Elsesser,
Present.
Laura Henderson, here. Jim Mellowitz,
Here.
June 5th,
Nell
we
Murphy,
just sign
here.
after it's approved.
Vidya Cora.
Okay.
Okay. We do have a quorum.
Very good. We have a quorum, and we have an agenda. Do we need to have the agenda approved? It says approval of agenda on the agenda, but I don't
We never have,
recall that
but
we've ever done
it
it
sounds
before.
like that might be a good idea.
From what I was told, I went through this with the clerk's office. The president of the committee is to physically sign if the group approves the minutes from the last minutes, you sign those.
Okay,
And the
I will
agenda?
take those in,
but not the agenda. We don't have to
not the
approve the
agenda. Did I put it on their agenda?
You said approval of agenda on the agenda.
I just like approval.
That's at any committee meetings too, they'll vote to approve. That's not unheard of, but
Okay, well, I'm going to dispense with that. I
Yeah.
don't see the purpose of it, but unless somebody can convince me differently about that. Just for a general announcement, the board members who were up for reappointment have all been reappointed by the mayor and sworn in. So we have a full board that includes myself and Dennis Britton and Betsy
Elsesser.
Elsesser, yes. So we all swore to uphold the Constitution and of the city, of the state, and
Thanks.
the nation, and to do our best to plant trees. Actually, I added that last part, but so minutes. Do we have May minutes been circulated
Present,
among people?
if you prefer not to.
They were
Yeah, I don't
sent.
remember.
They
I
were
know that, you're present. I'm
circulated
sorry.
at some point?
He doesn't
I
want
think
to.
so. Okay.
Okay. I do not have a physical copy of the May minutes, though, in front of me. But we can, does anybody have any comments or thought about the May minutes?
No, that was a while ago. Oh, that's right, the May minutes, yeah.
Yeah, because we did sort of it last week.
No comments, and I note that we called that an unofficial meeting. I was just gonna say.
No,
That was the last one. That was June.
Oh, okay.
so we couldn't vote on the
June
May.
was
Okay.
unofficial, but I
Right.
did send out
Okay, so we're talking
minutes.
So if everybody, would anybody like to move to approve the May minutes?
I move to approve the May minutes.
second.
Second? All in favor of approving the May minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes, the May minutes are approved, but I do not have a copy that I can, maybe I do.
You just might.
Okay, Laura has just given me,
Laura's wonderful.
so she is on top of things here.
Also, in May,
And I need to sign these, is that what you said?
Yeah, please
Mike?
do.
Okay.
and if you pass that down, that's a copy of your financials. They haven't changed since May when I had them
Thank
on
you.
there. So those are the financials.
Okay, but we have not circulated the financials to all the board.
No.
No.
And we don't have enough copies of this.
Nope, that's the copy.
So I think we're going to have to revisit the financials.
Okay.
I will have going forward, I will have the office,
Terry
well,
or Tanya?
yeah, I'll have the controller's office, thank you. Controller was the word I was.
Print them out and get them
I'll
out.
have the controller's office print me a copy so I can send them in with my report.
Okay, great. Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
But we do have minutes also from the June 5th meeting, which Laura put together. Laura, you did a great job on these, by
Thank
the
you.
way. I learned more from reading the minutes than I did from sitting in the meeting, I think. They've been circulated to everybody. Does anybody have any comments or questions about those?
No.
Any motion to approve?
Well, it was
They're
June was unofficial,
I know, but we're still going to approve the minutes.
okay.
Motion to approve.
No second.
Okay.
All in favor of approving the minutes for the June 5th meeting?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes.
Jim,
Yes.
if I may, we have a person from the public here tonight who came to our Saturday presentation at the library, and you might want to sort of cue him in regard to what the procedure is for his participation.
Sure. Well, we would be happy to hear from a member of the public. Usually, we don't do that until the end of the meeting, unless you have some, if you have to go for some reason,
You can
and
move it up, yeah.
we can move it up.
I appreciate that. I was waiting for public comment, although Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place.
Oh, go ahead. Sure. And what's your name again?
Scott Meland, M-E-L-A-N-D, 200 Kenwood Place. I like trees.
M-E-L-A-N-D?
Yeah, your land, my land, me land. Is my phonetics. I just noticed on your agenda that you were going to decide on a new meeting time. And
Yes.
my suggestion would be to try to pick a date and time that doesn't overlap with other committees. Like right now, the park board is meeting, so there's no way to attend both.
good point.
So that was the feedback for that component. Other than that, I'm just here to be a member of the public and see if there's something to talk about later.
Oh, okay.
Or
And
actually, I don't.
Yeah.
And what is the time of the park board meeting? That's also 6:30?
It's on the calendar, but they're from
We can check.
5:30,
5 to 7.
I think-
5 to 7.
I believe
yeah.
it's 5 to
I
7.
believe that's
so-
correct.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're twice a month or not, so it's just, you'd have to pick a non-conflicting time. Then my only tree question is, and I'm sure you're all aware of it, that we have some Bradford pears planted on Breakfast Street
Sorely aware,
that
yes.
I'm sure you're hoping to replace with the tree grant we have, and I was just hoping that that would be a priority.
To answer the question on that, I'm actually working on, later this year, getting another grant to do solely removal of invasive species trees, well, invasive species from the city,
Including the ones we planted.
including, yeah,
Fantastic.
the Bradford pears are going to be replaced with Atlanthia for a short period of time.
Oh, great.
But no, that's one of my goals for the year is to get a grant to cover tree removal of all invasive species throughout the city.
Yeah, we are aware of those problems, and I ask him every meeting if he's cut down any tree of heaven in the last
The
month.
organization that is my day job, NERC, we have just received $30,000 from Indiana DNR to do an invasive exchange program, where if you
Great.
cut down a Bradford pear, Callery pear, you can have a free
They'll
replacement.
give you.
So we can work together
Yeah.
to see if we can try
Great.
to maximize those funds.
My understanding, I talked to Drew,
Okay.
Mr. Drew Hartz, the USDA, got our representative. I talked to Drew. I thought that wasn't going to be released until fall.
It probably won't be until fall, but
Okay.
it would be, as time moves on, we can
Okay.
remove and replace. There's opportunity for us to
Is-
replace as
Thank
we
you.
remove.
Jen, is that for just municipalities on city land, or is that for private property as well?
It's still in the works, but I believe private property. Private property for this one would probably be the priority. So if you know neighbors who have,
Private property.
for this one,
That would be awesome.
A lot of
And that would
residential
fit
outreach.
because-
Right.
Yeah.
And that was our goal, was to get into the neighborhoods
Yeah.
and start removing.
Yeah, so
Because
the,
some of it, as we go forward on public property, we're removing trees and planting anyway. So I can do the public ones in-house, or the public ones, I can do those in-house.
okay.
So all the private citizens, that's where
Okay.
we need to be.
So we'll talk about it as it progresses, and maybe this is too in detail for now, but I will need the board's help and your help in outreach to reach community members about that program, to get them to participate.
That's a great idea for a program,
That's
though.
Yeah.
It really
yeah,
is.
We're excited about it. The details are still being worked out, but it's in the works for fall.
Is that something that's going to be done statewide?
No, they wanted, DNR had some funds and they wanted to kind of pilot this program in Northwest Indiana.
Okay. very good.
Soil and Water has done that in the past.
They have, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And they had a limit of one per person. So I have a neighbor who has a tree of heaven, which it's ridiculous to talk about that in the singular.
Yeah.
And they also have a hedge of burning bush.
Wow.
And I think
They're
it's
hitting all the
maybe
all-stars,
burning
aren't
bush
they?
and alternating with Asian bush honeysuckle,
Okay.
something like
It's
that.
a
It's just like,
trifecta of invasives.
So just nuke their whole yard, that's what.
Well, we'll be working with DNR on it as we lay this out. We're still in the late, the contract legal, phase of laying it out. My understanding is that they want to focus on calorie pear, Bradford pear, but they are open to other invasives.
Good.
like
Great.
Memphis.
Well, there's no shortage of them, so that money will go fast, I would think.
Thank you for.
The invasives seem to thrive for some reason,
So they're invasive, yes.
They're so hardy. Like
So
we keep-
moving on to communications, so do we have any communications, Mary?
Yeah, yes. I was at the Elston Grove Neighborhood Association meeting, and Sal Dunlap was there, and he said he has talked with you, and he talked about there's a lot of trees along 7th Street that need to be pruned. I think he's pretty much talking about the east part of 7th Street, because that's near where he lives. And the thing he talked to you about, Michael, I think was the trees in the vacant lot immediately north of his home, which he sees as a problem. And he has spoken to you about that, but at the time of the meeting, he said he had not spoken to you yet about pruning trees on 7th Street.
He and I have talked about that.
Okay.
About the pruning trees. I went down every major north-south and east-west street in the city and made lists of trees in areas that need pruning.
You really keep busy.
Yeah.
And I presented to Sean, the street department, things that I saw that needed pruning. And then I gave him I made a copy of, I made a pictorial of what is approved, how high to a sidewalk, and how wide to the sidewalk.
Okay.
To the street, and how high.
Good.
And I went ahead and changed it. I haven't got the official, I haven't written the new ordinance for that, because the information we have in our current ordinance is so old that 14 feet is the height over the highway that they want trees trimmed. And CDL drivers, 16.1 is the height for a semi. So we're literally pruning trees with the tops of trucks because our regulations are so lax. But I gave Sean a pictorial of where to start your cuts, how to do the cuts, how high to do the cuts over the road, how high to do this cuts over the sidewalks. And then I made him copy so he could give that to the tree trimming crew so they can follow that. And so they already have a list, but they're extremely behind. So,
Is this fellow with the street department?
nope, this guy is an independent. He lives.
He's a resident.
Oh, he's a resident, okay.
However, I did, in talking to him, I went to his house and we discussed the trees next to him, which I am going to remove. They're on, they're big maple trees that are on a vacant city lot, 729 East Michigan Street. There's two big maples. And they are on the boundary line between his house and that vacant city lot. They are working their way into a sewer system. And he had to pay $3,000 or something to get his pipes cleaned out again. So we looked at the trees, you know, being that there are silver maples and stuff, I'm just gonna remove the trees. My first step was I tried to get NIPSCO to do it because there's a 12,000 three-phase line running down Michigan Street. And the trees are closer than 10 feet to the line. For anybody who's not line clearance certified, they can't be within 10 feet of a power line or any energized. But NIPSCO's behind, and they said they can't get to it. So I put it out for bids today, in fact, to have those trees removed. So I put it out for the bids to all the licensed tree guys, and hopefully I'll get a good number, and we'll take them down.
Are there funds that the city has allocated for this purpose?
Yes and no. Yes, there is.
Okay.
In the street department's account, there was initially, at the beginning of the year, $150,000 set aside for tree work, which I use. So I acquire those funds to pay for the
Okay.
work.
Since you're the forester and
Right.
you make the call on
I
what
make
trees
the
need.
call. I technically
Okay,
didn't have authorization, but that's what I'm doing.
okay.
So yes, the city's paying for that.
So this citizen and resident who brought this up, good point, and we're on it.
Oh, I gave him special permission. He and I went around talking about trimming trees, and he physically himself, I authorized him to trim the trees on 7th Street. I said, if we can't get to it, you know, it's on the books. Street department knows about it. They've known about it for months. They haven't gotten to it.
Okay,
He said he was willing to do it, and I
just
gave
those-
him special dispensation too.
Just those silver maples, though.
Pardon?
Just the all.
No, he was
Any
able to
tree?
trim whatever he needed to trim
I see.
down the sidewalk.
And you feel confident?
Branches that are hanging over the sidewalk.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
you-
chopping down
Do you
trees.
feel confident that he understands proper pruning cuts?
Oh, I've gone through it.
Okay.
I've actually, he's done it. I went behind him and checked it.
I'll write a
And-
thank you note then.
Yeah, he's,
okay,
he knows what
good.
he's doing.
I would just comment that, in general, I'm not a big fan of silver maples, so if they're
Right.
aging, we know we have a problem with aging
Right.
silver maples, so if those need to come down, and you're T-RAC certified, if you and your professional judgment agree they need to come down,
Well,
I'm all for it. I would say, though, I think I'm really excited about this grant that we're getting, this big grant that will do an inventory and some prioritization, because we have a lot of trees that need to be tended to. And I think we do need to have a certain process for when residents do make complaints about a tree that is problematic for whatever reason.
Right.
That someone with that expertise of TRAC tree risk assessment certification makes that assessment, because sometimes it's a case of they think it's causing sewer problems and it's not.
Right.
You know, my understanding is that often if a tree is causing problems with sewer lines, there's a problem with the sewer line to begin with. So just something to keep in consideration. I'm in
Yep.
favor of, if you made the call to remove those trees, silver maples, go for it.
Yeah. There is another program that I've got kind of cooking in the background, which I don't have funding for yet, so I haven't proceeded with it very
Well,
far.
why don't we come back to that when we get to the forester's report?
We've got a couple hands up.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the street crew. I hope you talk to them about trimming the oaks during the summer months,
Not
because I
Last year.
last
found
year.
them last year in the act of cutting oak limbs in August. And
Improperly cutting them, as
Yeah.
I
I
would say.
made a whole lot of phone calls and it stopped. But
Because oak will.
I don't want to do that again
What is the proper time of year to trim an oak tree?
in winter.
In the
Fall.
winter?
There are certain
November,
months,
right?
yeah, I'm sure you know.
Late fall.
Oak wilt is caused by two things. When you trim a tree, it leaves that big white cut. There is a moth that carries on its belly the fungus that will cause the oak wilt. And it's attracted to the white spot of the tree. So the moth will attach itself, crawl around on the tree, tree will suck up the
Fungus.
yeah, and
Okay, so people should not be trimming oak trees during the summertime.
Yeah, that's very good to have a reminder of that, because
Right.
that wasn't, that
Unless it's
became
an extremely dire
Right.
safety.
Because that became, it had really worked its way all the way up to the mayor's office last year. And I
Okay.
think rather than have it go through anything like that, it's a good preventative, proactive thing to remind people about. Excellent.
Very good.
Not have it happen in the first place.
Do we have any other
And then,
communication?
did you have a, were you raising
Well, I
your
just
hand?
want to make a comment. Michael, it almost sounds like you've deputized our first tree steward.
in a
Is this the
sense,
beginning of a new program?
Okay, we'll move on.
yeah, I guess in a sense I did.
Okay.
Do we have any other communications?
Well, after our program at the library, I called the librarian to thank her for the opportunity and left a voicemail and indicated that we would like to come back in September, probably on a weekday evening. And then I sent
I'm just going to say, that was a follow-up to your June 22nd presentation
Yes.
at the library.
yeah, thank you.
I was going to ask you about that, yes. How did that go, by the way?
I would say that it was well received, not a large crowd, but
Got to start someplace.
But they were all quality people. I mean, people that had experience.
they had a lot of questions
good.
and enthusiasm.
Good.
And I think we just picked an off time, and we did not get into the Beecher in time. So next time we'll make sure to get more advance notice.
Were you in the Beecher, though, at some point? Not at all? Okay.
No. And the librarian, she put up a little notice, but since there wasn't much else happening that day, we didn't get a lot of.
Well, this is a great
carryover.
way to recruit some volunteers to help plant trees in the fall.
Well, after I left that message for the librarian, I sent an email to Leopold at the SCA and told him that we were hoping to come back to the library in September, and maybe they could piggyback on our presentation, either, because I know they have plans to recruit volunteers or employees or whatever.
Good point.
Scott, our member of the public who is here for today's meeting, just a reminder that we will be planting some trees in the fall and can use some help putting them in the ground if you should feel inclined.
City's depending on you, Scott.
And that's why I'm thinking of September, because I'm
Oh, yeah,
assuming
yeah.
our planting will be sometime in October.
Probably, yeah.
Good.
So we could not only look for more planting sites, and possibly recruit volunteers.
So that kind of circles over to the community tree application, I guess, which we can address later or we can address now, but that is the program for getting those trees. That application is due,
That will be due, we don't have an official date yet. I will open it for 30 days and look for it to be due, I'll probably release it next week. Look for it to be due the first week of August.
okay. And
So-
Michael's going to be putting that together, as I recall. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say key points there, I will have to recuse myself from the review of that, but I know that the committee will be looking for a very sound watering plan. That's a major concern, is just making sure that the trees will be maintained. They don't want to throw trees out and then they come back in 2 years and they're dead. So a sound watering plan and maintenance plan for the trees, whether that's using residential volunteers or city staff or what have you. That's something that they'll be looking for. They will want a planting plan and a good idea of where you plan to plant and what species.
Isn't the way that's been handled in the past that the resident agrees to water the trees?
I believe so.
If they're planted
And that's a
in
good
front.
model.
If they're planted in front of their property, and then unless there's trees left over, in which case they go to the Parks Department or somebody, somewhere like that.
Last year, I wasn't able to come to the planting, but Tim had me do a follow-up where I took the list of trees,
That's right.
went to look at all of them to make sure they had an adequate amount of mulch and
That's
and
fantastic.
water and, no broken branches or anything like that. So I can certainly do follow-up next
And
time.
put that in the application, because if there is some oversight of, when you have volunteers engaged, if there is that oversight,
Great.
that's good.
So if this application is going to be due in August sometime, can we put that on the agenda then to discuss again at the August meeting? About any questions for the application, or, Michael, as you're putting that together, so that everybody's on board with that? That fair? Okay.
Our August meeting, I think it'll be on the late side.
Wednesday the 6th at this point.
Right. Okay.
The 7th, Wednesday the 7th.
The 7th,
So do you
No.
think that will
Are you
be
sure?
after?
unless we change the meeting date, which we'll discuss here in a moment. Dealing with, addressing committee reports in education
I mean,
and
next year, sorry.
outreach. Do we have any comments or any information about the farmer's market?
I do have a note that I just want to remind folks that it's going to be August 3rd, that we're going to, the next farmer's market is before we have our next meeting.
Yes.
So this is your
Not
August.
this weekend?
It is this weekend, but August is on the 3rd, and our meeting is not until August 7th.
Oh,
So
okay.
the July one is this weekend.
This weekend, Saturday, okay.
July 6th.
In addition, the August meeting,
Oh,
August farmer's market will be August 3rd. And we're not going to have a tree board meeting before that, so this is the double reminder.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you for that. What time is the farmer's market?
8 to noon.
Okay.
I can be there this Saturday, and I brought my sunshade.
Ooh. Awesome.
Very good.
Good thing to have in July.
Betsy, you were discussing the library presentation. Is there anything you want to add to
Well,
that?
I'm sorry, I just want to go back. Will anyone else be there besides
Oh,
Betsy this
sorry.
Saturday?
I didn't realize you
Me?
I
had.
will.
Okay. Very good.
Great.
And, okay, I'll try to get there by,
Yeah, 8:30.
8, yeah. The sun's not too bad at 8 o'clock, but it gets bad.
And I believe I'll miss this one, but should be there in August.
Okay. And so you can choose a shady spot. It doesn't have to be the same spot we were in.
Right, over on the other side underneath
Tree.
honey locust is better.
All right, well, we'll try to snag that if we get there early.
I don't think you'll have a problem.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Anything
you.
else about the farmer's market?
That was it.
Didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were finished. Anything else, Betsy, that you want to add, or Dennis, about the library presentation?
No, just that we have a gentleman here tonight that heard the announcement that I had sent out through WEFM. I also advertised with the Master Gardeners all over Facebook, library, and one other. I did put information out to the Beecher, but for whatever reason, they didn't follow through with it.
We have not had a whole lot of luck getting stuff in the Beecher. I have provided them with several press releases, and they've never run it. I don't understand. We'll just keep knocking on the door and hopefully get in eventually. I had expected we were going to see a story about our grant in the Laporte paper, but it did not materialize. Mike was interviewed, I was interviewed by the reporter, but there was no story that resulted from that. We probably got kicked out by more important news. Okay. Betsy, you want to talk about the grant proposal to the Unity Foundation of LaPorte County?
Well, I don't have copies for all of you because it's a work in progress. But I sent you my, electronically, the preliminary thing. There may be a couple more questions I need to ask, but I will do some rewriting based on your comments and submit that pretty soon, within a week, because I want to beat the deadline. I had an informal conversation with someone from the Unity Foundation, and she was completely unaware of what a tree board was or that we had one. So I hope that if they need any follow-up on that, they'll figure that out.
They may surprise us with some money.
But I have already registered in their system and gotten a, password and a login for the grant application is all online.
Have you discussed this at all with the mayor's office?
That is my next question.
No, I haven't.
Same, because part of what was sent to us, this ordinance 4733,
It requires the mayor
It's-
to approve any grant
I was trying to
applications.
find what number it was, but anyway, unless otherwise specifically provided for by state law for certain city boards, which we're not included in, a board does not have authority to execute grants or apply for or execute grants on behalf of the board or the city. Any request to execute a contract or seek or approve a grant must be first referred to the mayor or a specific city department designated by the mayor for consideration. So I think that means us.
Michael, have you had any discussion with the mayor's office about this Unity grant?
None.
How about if I do this? After I make my
Yeah.
tweaks,
Right.
I'll send it to, how
Mayor's
about her
office.
chief of
Yeah.
staff?
Kelly Smith.
Kelly?
Smith,
Yes,
yes.
Kelly
I-
and Isabel probably as well, who's sort of the contact person over there, but I think Kelly is the chief of
That
staff.
sounds good.
And copy me on that too, if you would, please, sir.
Okay.
But I had a discussion with Isabel today about that and about.
What's her role?
Isabel?
Yeah.
She's like the scheduler
Yeah,
there or
she's,
something, sort of acts as a liaison, I think, with the board.
She's an administrative assistant, basically.
Thank you. That's the word.
Okay, well,
Administrative
I
assistant.
think Kelly Smith might be trumping that, but.
Yes, she does.
They all work together though, so.
She'll get it
Okay.
to the right place.
But you're right, we do need to get their blessing on this thing. And
Good, yeah.
she indicated to me that she thought there would be discussions between Michael and the mayor about that grant. But I don't know that that's actually occurred, so
This will get the ball rolling.
I think we should do that. Send it.
Okay, I'll do that as soon as I can, within a few days, and when
We
I.
have time.
Thank you for your work on that.
Yes, thank you. That's-
Well, hold your applause to the end, but, so I will make the corrections or the additions and send it to Kelly, CCU, and CCU, Mike, and remind them of what the deadline is and tell them that,
We
so
need-
they'll be getting electronic copy, they won't be getting the actual application, because I
That
don't
we
know.
need their blessing, we need their approval in time so you can submit it by the.
Right, and assuming we get that, I will
I
do
can't-
the online thing. It's not a matching grant, so.
I can't imagine that the mayor's office would have any problem
Right.
with this application. I think it's,
$5,000 for tree, yeah.
they're more
Yeah.
concerned
Well,
about.
$5,000, it wouldn't be going all to trees. It'd
For
be
education,
some-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I can't imagine it being controversial, but we need to go through that proper process.
Yes.
but if you all looked at it, and I think you did, the idea is that we've been given basically a mandate as a tree board to do education, and we've been not doing as good a job lately as I think we could. We need better materials, we need a budget. I would like the money to go into our fund that we can access and not just get dropped off at the comptroller's office, but they might have other ideas.
Well, that still goes through the comptroller's office.
Okay, well, and I don't know
Access.
what the rules are. Yeah, we need to have access to funds. And when I'm talking about educational materials, it struck me at the last farmer's market that we were talking to somebody about what Tree of Heaven was. And all we had to show them was a small picture in a book. And I thought, this isn't enough.
Right.
And then I thought about when we were giving away the saplings in the spring, and we have this discussion every year. We've got dogwood. Well, but it's
Right,
silky
which one?
dogwood,
Right,
and
right.
people. Then we spend too much time talking about the difference between what we have and what the people think they want. So this is an example
Nice.
of a much better. I made one for you to keep.
You can hang it on your wall.
Yeah.
I know what the tree of
Don't
heaven
say it.
is. I know what
I
it
know,
looks
but I thought this was.
like. Consider as a public enemy. I like that.
Okay, well, I wrote that on the side based
Very
on
nice.
other. But I think that what we need to
Right.
do, especially when we're talking people into this tree or that tree, we need to give them,
Yeah,
clear information and maybe put it on some sort of a board. Because, it's just going to be more efficient and
Yeah.
people will learn more
Yeah.
from the experience.
No question about it. A good
Sounds
idea.
good.
Okay, so on the grant thing, you're going to send that to the mayor's office, copy us on that. Let's get the blessing of the mayor's office on that so we can get that submitted. Can't imagine there'll be any problem with that, but we'll see.
Do we have Kelly Smith's email address?
I'll get you that after.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay.
And for the community grant, I would assume since that's not an actual financial transaction, maybe it doesn't apply to that. I don't know in the past if that has gone through the mayor or.
I'll still discuss it with.
I think
Just
we
make
should
her-
still discuss
make
it
the
with the
mayor
mayor's
aware.
office, yeah. I think their biggest concern is probably matching grants that obligate the city to spend money in some fashion, or some sort of crazy organization that's giving away money that might be too controversial for the city, but I can't imagine what that might be with, maybe
The
the
pro-calorie pear lobby.
the Pro Tree of Heaven lobby, is that?
Yeah, I'm sure the Unity Foundation has given money to this or that.
Yeah.
The city structure.
Moving on to is public relations?
Yes.
I have a question on public relations. I saw your email about turning over the Facebook page
Yeah, which I'm
to,
trying to do. I did reach out 3 times to Andy in the city's IT department per the request at the last meeting, and answer came there none. I'm sure, again, we're not the highest priority, but I am making attempts to hand over our Facebook page. One option of doing that, it looked like, reading how this is set up, is if Andy becomes an administrator, then I can, if he follows our page, I can make him an administrator, he can do whatever he wants. great. But I can't believe it, but he's not following our tree board page, Friends of the Tree Board. But anyway, it's in process, so
My concern is that it is going to vanish into the black hole of
It might,
city administration, and we will no longer have that voice.
Yeah.
For the
And I
for the
think
tree
you can
board.
still email Kelly Smith and ask her to put something on it.
The thing is that they don't have time to, if we have, say we have a post we can put on the Facebook page that says, this is an invasive species, everybody should be aware of it, try to take action to stop it. They don't have time to really
well, we
deal
don't
with
know. I
it.
mean, I think that's the plan. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the mandate, and that's how
That's
it's set
what
up.
it said.
I know we have to follow what they want us to do.
Yes.
But I'm just concerned we are going to lose our voice with the Facebook page. And even though it is a small voice, it is a start.
I'm also concerned because right now, we don't have a good way for people to contact us and say, sure, I'll take a tree, I'll volunteer.
Right.
I think we're going
Right.
to widen our volunteer possibilities by being part of the city's.
Could we ask Andy if we could keep our Facebook page for the rest of the summer or some short amount of time so that we can get ready for our fall planting?
Yeah, I'm hoping just to begin a conversation.
But what
So,
about
yes.
like keeping, keeping you as the administrator on the page, but
See, they
having
might
him
be-
in the
or
loop
they might
so
be
he
okay
is
with it.
copied on
I
everything?
don't know what they're
that's-
okay with. Yeah.
Something like that, that gives us regular control of the page or input into the page to, so that it actually functions.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? And, okay, but you're on top of it. So-
I hope
She's trying to be.
I do have a question on here. Do we have a mechanism for, when we have public events like this and we take email addresses, do we have a list of individuals who have indicated interest?
I do have a paper list at
Okay.
home, but
Okay.
we probably need a better
Right.
Michael would probably be
system.
the
Laura,
best
do you
person to get
That's
it.
your copy.
Is there a
of the
way
list.
to generate, a
Distribution list.
distribution
Yeah.
list through Outlook, or I don't know if the city uses Constant Contact or anything like that.
Right.
But it just occurs to me that as we accrue
Right.
phone number or emails, it would be great to have a list that we could send out a blast.
Not a problem. We-
Okay.
We use Outlook.
Okay.
You just create a group on Outlook. I like the one I created for this. I've got one on there for Communitree already.
Oh, okay, great.
So all we have to
Perfect.
do is just go onto our Outlook, into the thing. and-
You're already on it then. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay, is there anything else with regards to public relations?
Well,
Dennis?
part of what I did is I do have a sheet here that we can use at the farmer's market for people to sign up for volunteer work and information as well, so I'll
Yeah,
pass that
we've-
on.
Great.
So that we'll have that every farmer's market as well to enter.
We've had one of those, I think, at the
Yeah.
ones I've attended.
Well, when we get those, or excuse me, when you guys, and I'm not a member of the board, and when you get those, pass them on to me, and I can update
Right.
the page, and then,
You would be sort of the central person for all that.
and
and,
anything
to
that
funnel it.
you would have access to that through my Outlook,
Mm-hmm.
to say, send this to all the Communitree people.
So at some point, when we get to the point of needing people to plant trees, you'll be able to do an email to all of these folks,
Everybody will get it at once.
and it'll be on, that's what we want. That's
Provided I get
exactly
the
what,
information, put it in.
Right.
Right.
It's only as good as that.
Pass it on,
rather than calling people or anything like that.
and we'll get there till.
Okay.
Do you want
You know,
this?
hold on this?
I haven't
Whoever's
gotten
gonna
any
get there
list,
first
so
on
no.
Saturday.
Okay.
Okay,
If you would
Laura,
just copy the list and send them to me, I'll
Yeah.
get them,
okay.
I'll put them into the computer.
Laura?
Do you have a sign-up sheet for Saturday?
Well,
Whoever's going?
yeah, you can have this blank sheet if you're gonna get there first. And then we can hand those in after our
Oh,
farmer's market.
this is good. Yeah, I just think, I got a little
Okay.
piece of paper. This is good.
Anything else on public relations? Or- Nope. Arborist report, I'm going to skip over for a moment and go to the new business item of voting on changing the day and/or time of our monthly tree board meetings, because it's already at 7:15 here, and I want to be sure we get to this today. There has been discussion about moving up the time of the meeting to 5:30 instead of 6:30. Is there any further discussion on that point?
Well, I would just note that our public member that sounded like a great plan to me. I think it's more respectful of Michael's time as well, having him stay so much later. It's better for many of us. But I would like to consider that if there is another Michigan City board meeting at this time on Wednesday evenings, that we consider if there might be another time, another date
There is
of the week.
a second component to this discussion, and that is moving the day of the week of our meetings to either the first, let's see, the first Thursday of the month, which I would prefer, or the second Monday of the month. And those are the days that Drew, our ALCO guy, has said there is no conflict with, and that they would be able to televise. Okay? So I guess I would think about this in terms of two things. One would be changing the time, and then secondly, to consider the days of the week. And I even know the park department does have we still have a conflict. If the park department board goes from 5 to 7, and we start at 6:30, we're right in there.
Yeah.
If we go to 5:30,
5:30, we're right there too.
we're right there too. But I think the first thing is to deal with the time issue, and I think it's a good idea not only for Michael's convenience, but in the wintertime, 6:30 starts to seem pretty darn late and cold.
No.
And for these meetings, I don't want to go any earlier than 5:30 because I think it's important that members of the public be able to get off of work and come to the meeting if they want to. So I would entertain a motion on this, I guess. Yeah, well, we have a public comment.
I'm looking at the calendar for August, and your meeting does overlap with the park meeting that day. It's the same as today.
Yeah.
It looks like the fourth Monday of the month is an empty Monday. Mondays are actually busy for meetings.
What about Thursday?
Thursdays, the third and fourth Thursday of the month are empty in August. The 8th of August, for example, has 2 meetings in the municipal band concert. So the next Wednesday, the following week, the 15th, Commission for Women, Housing Authority. So I'd suggest you look at the municipal calendar. And if you look at a monthly view, it's much easier. You can't see it on telephone, but it lays out everything.
Is there anything on the first Thursday of the month? Was that the,
First Thursday, yeah. I mean, realistically, how many times do we have conflicts with other boards meeting?
Well, we don't know because we haven't looked.
Well,
I mean, one thing we could do is vote on moving the time tonight and then look more at the calendar to see what dates.
I agree
are
with
better.
her.
Actually, the reason we meet at 6:30 instead of 6 was because Dahlia was on
right.
this board and also on the park board.
Okay.
We have to
Yeah.
think about
So
that.
5:30 to 6:30, she could do the park and then be here
Okay.
at 6:30.
We might
But
have
not
a hard
6.
time finding a date that is
Perfect.
perfect.
I think we
with
will
everything
not.
going on. But I would say that the park board might be a very important one,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
the individuals interested in the park board and the tree board very well might overlap. So I agree with the approach, though, of just agreeing on changing the time and then taking a closer look at the municipal calendar to revisit if we want to move the
I do think we should try to keep the meeting day in the first week of the month. I think
Okay.
it's easy for people to remember.
Yeah.
And always have it on your calendar for the first week of the month rather than, I don't know,
So can you,
simplicity is a virtue.
Fridays are wide open. There's no reason.
Oh, no.
There's a reason for that.
I don't think so.
Nobody wants to meet on
So
Friday.
are Saturdays and Sundays.
I'm curious, do you happen to know what the meetings that would be conflicting on the first Thursday?
We can research all this.
First Thursday of August, no, it's the Great Lakes Grand Prix and the Municipal Band Concert, so no meeting.
Well, that's a unique event, though.
Yeah.
So that doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's not.
We could consider the first Thursday as an option to
Sure.
to move it to. It's just one, won't be conflicting with the Parks Board.
Right.
So I guess at this point, I would entertain, is there a motion to change the meeting time to 5:30 from 6:30?
So moved.
Second.
Second, third.
You have 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
I think Jen.
Any discussion? Further discussion?
Well, I just hope it's okay with the 2 members who aren't here. But I think that's right, this is just on the time.
2 members.
No, I withdraw my statement. No, I will clarify my statement. Both of the members said that moving up the time would be agreeable to them at the last meeting.
I believe that's what they did
Yes,
say.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of moving the time of our meetings to 5:30?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye. All opposed? None? Motion passes. We are now going to be meeting at 5:30.
Jim, at this point in time, can you find out who is here that would be available the first Thursday of the month? Just so we have that head count.
Well, I guess that would be the next question here. How do people feel about moving to the first Thursday? Does that create any conflicts for any of the board members?
I feel more comfortable if we wait on that vote for the next meeting and then find out how that, the 2 members who aren't here, are they okay with it? What other meetings, are set up? I don't think we have enough information to decide tonight.
It was
I don't feel comfortable deciding.
just as a casual, we know so far these people are available on the first Thursday, and then we can check in with other people.
Nobody here has any conflicts with the first Thursday.
None whatsoever.
None that I can't work around.
and the first Thursday of August happens to be the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So
But I agree that we should wait to
Oh, yeah.
officially vote.
But at least we know people here are available for that date, and we can inform other folks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll table that issue till the next meeting but be looking at the first Thursday in the month
Right.
as perhaps a different meeting time.
So as of this point, our next meeting will be at 5:30.
Right,
on August 7th.
right.
So the website says 6:30 and is letting the public know. So who all do we need to inform of this change?
I need to inform the mayor's office of this.
Very
And also, if the mayor has some problem with this, we may have to revisit the issue and go back to 6:30. I had a discussion with Isabel about that today, and that was one of the things we discussed, and that's the way we agreed to handle it. And I'll also pursue further discussion with the mayor's office about changing the date to the first Thursday and see how that is received over there. Okay.
But as of now, we're meeting on the Wednesday. The
We're
first
still
Wednesday.
meeting on the first Wednesday of the month. yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Arborist report.
But in addition, I'm not going to run over everything I gave everybody, but in addition to that, should be noted that yesterday, was that yesterday or Monday? They're all run together. It was yesterday, the Board of Works meeting, no, City Council meeting. They approved an ordinance that I had written for collecting fees from fines and not just fines, but we have
Licenses and such.
that money goes into a special fund that is not part of the general fund. And it's specifically for the use of forestry to be able to buy trees or maintain trees. It's for tree use.
That's what the ordinance, this new ordinance says? That any funds from fines,
Fines, it's, the way the ordinance is written is fees and fines are, go into that account
and these would be fees and fines that are generated by the forester?
by me.
Okay, because of
fees
actions
are-
that you take?
I have become more aggressive on something that it's an opportunity that we haven't had, and it's really caused a lot of problems, is having just anybody go out and start cutting trees. It runs a problem for the city, because if you hire somebody to take care of your trees, they're required to haul the wood. They're required to do their cleanup. What they've done is they throw it into the alley and say, okay, we're out of here. They get paid, and then the city has to pay to pick all that up.
So,
And,
right, okay, so there's ways that you generate fees and fines.
Yep.
And this new ordinance is going to have that money going into the forester, to the forester or the tree board?
forester.
Forester, to an account that you will have access to those funds for
Right.
planting trees and, okay. Well, that's great news. Any idea of how much money we're going to be talking about?
Well, in the fee side of things, let's assume there is a subdivision wants to come in. They want to start a subdivision in a wooded area. I also work with the planning committee. There is a fee, the maximum fee. Instead of doing a tree inventory and being charged per tree, we say there's too many trees, you have the set fee, it's $25,000. And they pay that $25,000 will go into that account. The fines that I give to the tree guys, I have waiting for Amber right now, but I have two of them at $3,000 each and one at $7,500.
So we could potentially be talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, I
Perhaps
have two
even more.
commercial projects right now, one, and both of those are $30,000, or I think they're $30,000 fees.
This is great news, and this-
Can we handle this
Would-
many trees? Yeah. I mean,
Huh?
That's a
I
lot.
can hint.
That's a lot of admin.
I
was
have a question, Mike.
was
Yeah.
Dr. Cora the sponsor of that ordinance?
Yes, he was one. I had just about every board, every member sponsor it, so.
Very good. Okay.
Do you also coordinate with the municipal separate stormwater program, the MS4 stormwater plans?
Yes and no. I work with Tim, the city engineer,
Okay.
and I look at, we work together. That's one thing nice about this new administration. I'm in with Skylar on these projects coming in through the planning committee. I work with Tim on his, all the engineering things. Because it's a tree and the way that mayor has allowed me to do it, if it's tree related, I have to look at it.
Okay.
So that's a big change over years past.
Yes, it is.
And now, like I said, one of the things with me coming in is I looked at our budgets and there's no line item in the budget for money to come in to forestry or the tree board. There's no money there.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
that's gonna change.
I also like it as a disincentive
Right.
because we need to be deterring people from,
Right, and I put
you
it
could
in the
preserve your trees to it.
paperwork, that money can be used for grant match money. So if you come up with a $500,000 I can use that money
Great.
and a lot of it's at my discretion
But
within boundaries.
Yeah.
So if the tree board is needs to get trees, but it's a grant match, I should be able to get money to assist with that.
So, okay, that's great news, and I look forward to that, good things coming from that change. That's a wonderful development. Looking at the forestry monthly report, has everybody received that? Seen that? Okay. So I see that you've been very busy completing training courses and including chainsaw basics. It's good to know that our forester knows all about chainsaws. But
No, I'm
Mary,
just
you have a
waiting.
question or something?
I will at some point.
Okay. My question is really about the bucket truck and
That's
chip.
my question too, thanks.
Mine too.
Where is so that has been
Where'd that
ordered?
money come from?
Everybody.
That money was,
Where did the money come from? Yeah.
that money is from, I want to make sure I get the name of the, ARPA?
ARPA funds.
Thank you. It's ARPA money.
Okay.
And so I petitioned the mayor, who petitioned the council, and they approved it. And so
Great.
that $104,000, there's actually a little bit more than 104 in the ARPA fund for the bucket truck, because in addition to the bucket truck and chipper, I have money that, it's ARPA money, but it's in the fund that I haven't designated. Well, can't say it isn't designated. I'm going to buy, the truck comes empty. It doesn't have chainsaws on it and ropes and arborist toys. They're not there. So I'm going to be buying new safety harness, new.
Who is going to be operating this truck and chip?
It will be operated, currently it's set up to be operated by a member of the street department. However, I haven't finished the training. We don't have anybody, other than myself, there's nobody who's trained who can operate it. So
But there
when we
will
get
be.
the equipment, I'm going to be training operator and groundsman on what their job is.
Will you be purchasing electric chainsaws or gasoline-powered chainsaws?
Actually, gasoline, and the main chainsaw they use is a hydraulic chainsaw. It runs off the hydraulic of the truck. It's a hydraulic stick saw,
Yeah.
and it's hydraulically driven. So,
Can I back up and ask what ARPA is?
American Rescue Plan money, it's COVID money.
Oh, okay.
And it was
Got
also
it.
use it or lose it. The funds were available and have to be used by the end of this year. And the city council went through about $3 million. And this was part of those.
yeah.
Do you work for the city?
Not at all.
Do you work for government?
No, I'm
No,
a citizen.
I will say this, Scott has been a very great advocate for
Informed
us.
citizen.
He's at most of the meetings, and when they ask for community input, I appreciate Scott, I really do.
Well, I made the paper in relationship to him.
You did, I read the
I don't know if
article,
you saw
and
it.
it's a good picture.
Yeah, I did like that. It's 20 years old. It's a great picture. But I basically said, what goes the forestry department? They can't cut down a tree. Let's
Right.
give them the tools they need to do their job. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but I laughed out loud.
I did the same.
Okay, so moving on.
Well, are we moving on?
You have a question?
I think there's still more discussion, yeah.
I had a question
Yeah.
not directly related to the chipper. Kudos on getting that approved. Have you been in discussions with, there's this new arborist apprenticeship program, and when I was speaking with them about that.
Way ahead of you.
Okay,
Of course I have.
Okay, I was in some meetings with them and I said, boy, it would be great to get municipalities involved in that. And they said, oh yeah, we've had conversations with Michigan City. And I said, super. So I was just curious,
I'm part of the beta group.
Okay.
With the Indiana Arborist Association.
When were we going to
And-
find out?
Huh?
When was the board, when were you going to let the board know?
It's still in process. We are.
But it's out there. I mean, and we didn't know about this. I think we're just surprised at things that are happening that the board doesn't know anything about. We'd like to be informed. We'd like to be in the loop.
A lot of this, like the Arborist Association, is, I've been going to meetings with them. The Arborist Association has an apprenticeship program that they're starting in northern Indiana. The goal is to have it become self-sustaining and grow throughout the whole state. They pay a portion, if not all, of the first year's salary for the arborist. And then it's a three-year program. We sign off on a 3-year thing that the city will have a forester for an assistant forester for 3 years. And part of my job is to train that forester so that when he's done, he can pass the ISA Certified Arborist Test. So it's a hands-on training module for people to become arborists.
They've been doing something like that in the Chicago area for some time.
So, and
Yeah,
I've been
it works
working
great.
I'm also a member of the Indiana Arborist Association. And it's a program that they're putting together for their IA members. And I
Is there-
jumped on it. I asked the mayor about it probably in March.
Is there anything that the board needs to do relative to that program?
It's one of these that's in process. There's nothing more than just to know that there's a program for getting an apprentice, an
Now,
arborist.
you told us a few months ago, I remember you said that maybe you would have
Right,
an apprentice
Right.
possibly this summer.
right. And it's a matter of when the program, it's all in development. This is something in motion. It's just another place where I've started working ahead of the curve.
Mary, do you have a question about that?
No?
Okay. All right. I want to ask you another question about your monthly report.
Yeah.
With regards to the milestones for the grant, the big grant. One of them has been that you hired the company to do the inventory, the comprehensive city tree
We
inventory.
actually haven't hired them yet, but we will be hiring them.
You're finalizing the paperwork,
Right.
and that's Phil Graff with that
Right,
group.
Phil Graff with,
Great Lakes.
Thank you,
Great
Great
Lakes.
Lakes.
When will we be able to get Phil to come in here and talk to us a little bit about?
Phil was gonna come tonight, actually, and I told him not to because I couldn't get a final word on the members, and I wasn't sure we would even have a quorum for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
Phil will be here at the next meeting,
that would be great.
Okay.
whichever day that is.
We don't need him to
April.
talk for the whole meeting, but
No.
I think that the board might have
But
some
yeah,
questions.
Phil will be here for that.
Okay, great.
When will he start the inventory, or do you know?
Well, again, we haven't gotten our official signed in paperwork from, once we get our paperwork, I have been in contact with Phil because as project managers, we have to be far more proactive and ahead, we're working on stuff in the event that everything goes through like it's supposed to. We're hoping that the paperwork catches up to what we've been working on. Hence the reason I've worked on milestones on this grant to meet the 2024 milestones, the 2025, 2026, 2027. I'm working on this as if we've already got an actual signed contract. Phil's working on it as if he is going to, Phil is presumed Phil will get the contract. I can't promise him anything because I don't have a signed contract to back it up.
So it's,
But Phil knows he will, theoretically, he will be getting it.
so otherwise, everything on the grant is going according to plan, and
We are ahead of schedule on the grant.
does anybody have any questions or concerns about the grant at this point that we should discuss? No?
No, just that there aren't any issues with doing the bidding process before the contract is finalized, that's okay?
Yes and no. We proceeded with the bidding contract knowing that we didn't have a signed agreement, but that's one of the 2024 milestones. And again, I'm hoping the paperwork catches up to,
And we anticipate that the bidding process will satisfy any U.S. Forest Service
already
requirements.
has. Oh,
Okay,
I'm-
okay. That's-
I've
yeah,
already
that's
gone
the
through the
question.
whole
Yep.
process with the forestry.
Okay,
And, yeah, we're above board and ahead of schedule.
okay, fantastic.
Is there anything else that you need to briefly highlight for us from your forestry report, or have we covered everything?
Oh, I think we
important?
got everything.
I just have a quick dumb question. Designated the 3 zones. Does 3 zones refer to 25, 26, and 27? Like where the planting is going to be in those 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The way the grant is written, we had to give them all the census tract data for the city. So I gave them the census tract data, and we had in our original language, when it was written, Tim Warner had put in the language, first year is 2025 is zone 1, 2026 is zone 2, and so on.
Okay, yeah.
The thing is, we didn't specify what
So-
zone 1 meant.
Yeah.
So I went back through the contract, read what we had to do, and then I put together there are 3 years, we have 9 census tracts. I, by location on the map, kind of lumped them together, and then I assembled a zone 1, a zone 2, and a zone 3 based on geographic location of the census tracts.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good.
And I had to let USDA know that. I've been in contact with them because you can't change anything once the contract's been in limbo land. You can't make changes. So, again, these aren't changes, they're just clarifications. So I've made some clarifications to our contract.
Okay. Any other questions for the forester on his report? Old business, the ordinance, general rules for all city boards, commissions, and committees. I don't see that we have any need to discuss that, do we?
I think we kind of already gone through that as it relates to contracts and Facebook, were the two that seemed to, and the
And-
conflicts of interest and.
Yeah, I think we all did our
We're all
conflict of
satisfied.
And
interest.
everybody did their conflict of interest form?
Yep.
Okay, very good. New business, we've talked about changing the day and changing the time.
So far, we've only changed the time.
Correct. Right. And we will come back to the issue
Yes.
of changing the day next time. Any comments from board members?
I just was going to mention July 23rd. Jen and I are going to go over to Elkhart as part of the Tree City Forum on July 23rd. I think we talked about that at prior meetings, but.
I'll also mention that if anyone is interested in the DNR Tree Steward 2-day training, I believe that Laura, you've been through that training. That will be offered September 12th and 13th.
13.
Yep, at NERC. So just reach out to me if you're interested. It's a 2-day training that covers, just the basics of trees, physiology, planting, maintenance. So it's suitable for anyone on a tree board. It's suitable for a member of the public who's just interested in volunteering. Great way to get volunteers because there is a component requiring a certain amount of volunteer tree service to get your official certification.
Not sure we got any volunteers last time, but.
Yeah.
I had thought I had a conflict, so I will contact you. I think I would be interested in
Okay,
that.
fantastic.
It was a great program, but since I'm already a certified
You're already
artist,
certified. Yeah, I think it's.
Don't really
I
need
think
to
it's a little
attend.
basic for you, but.
Any other comments from the board? Hearing none. Public, any public comments?
Uh-oh.
Your turn.
Oh, boy. I've been waiting all day for this.
I know.
Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place, just a curious person who likes trees. Well, somebody at Common Council or the planning board went off on city trees. He's like, I just as soon come down as look at them. I mean, not everybody loves trees. People are crazy.
Who was that?
There's always one.
Well,
That was me.
You don't need any names.
we experienced that in the last administration.
And people generally do have concerns, so it's.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's legit.
I just, burning bush is bad. Burning bush is.
Yes, yes. Very aggressive.
invasive.
If you go and look
Do
at
not
some woods,
plant.
you know Tremont Shelter on 12?
Okay.
If you look across the woods, it is in the fall, it is entirely watermelon pink.
And if you
then
go
it-
to
but
Krieger
they're
Krieger
red.
Park.
No. And
There are
then it
alternatives.
shades out all of the wonderful native
There's an alternative
plants.
native species.
I like
to bring.
that.
Choke cherry is great.
Okay. I'm a big fan of mulching. I'm sure you all are too. It's something I brought up to Shannon at the Parks Department, but not in a formal meeting. She's like, she doesn't like wood chips, they're too messy. But I'm like, they're cheap and we produce our own.
Right.
Yes.
She wants coconut mats. I'm like, that costs money. It's not the same.
No.
So, and I noticed going through Washington Park, there are quite a few, not just, there's little trees. I mean, they need mulch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so do our city trees, our what do we call them? The tree parkway, the tree,
Right.
the tree
lawn,
yard, tree yard. So I'd like to see more wood chips around trees, especially our little trees. Once we have a chipper, we have a supply of wood
I have
chips.
to address that issue. Another one of the grandiose plans I've got in the works. I want to have a recycle place at where we bring all of our wood chips in, recycle it into mulch and topsoil, so that A, we're not taking everything to the landfill, and B, and we can charge people to pick up mulch.
Well, I think LaPorte lets people pick it up for free
They
at the
do.
fairgrounds, and I think we have space on Hitchcock where we used to have electronic cycling.
Right. We have space. I've already got the space located, but that's in the works.
And
as far
it
as
sounds like,
background.
although we have a forester now, we don't have a forestry department. It sounds like
Correct.
the work of tree trimming,
I am the forestry department.
and it sounds like you have a full plate, and you have a full plate.
Could I say something about mulch? When we plant the community trees in the fall, we always add mulch.
It's a requirement.
And
It is.
the best mulch is partially composted wood chips. In other words, the freshest wood chips are more appropriate for a trail.
Right.
And the older wood chips are
Right.
for the trees.
Right.
But it's very labor intensive. So when we ever develop a list of volunteers, maybe that's something they could do.
It sounds like, so stuff like Streets and Sand is responsible for actually lifting trees on the sidewalk and things like that. And it sounds like they're not trained, so it sounds like you're trying to get a handle on this. But it sounds like they could use a class.
Yes, and
an
And I
organized
will say,
class.
they did attend, we had 5 individuals from Michigan City, I believe it was mostly Streets Department.
That's great.
At least
I remember you
5
mentioned that, yeah.
attend a training that we sponsored in Lake County. One of the comments that I heard from them and others was that training was focused on young trees, newly planted trees in the first 5 years.
Interesting, yeah.
Which is important because
Right.
you want to
You're trained.
properly prune them,
Right.
so you don't have problems later. But one of the comments that we heard was that they could use, they're doing triage,
Yeah.
intended.
Uh-huh.
They're out there when there's a problem tree. So Delta Institute is also offering another training on mature tree pruning. Did you receive that, Michael? I don't know if
No.
you're on their list. Okay, I'll make sure that you do, because that could be really beneficial. The focus of that will be on how to properly make the pruning cuts for a large mature tree that you're worried about dropping a limb.
Yeah. I mean, the city's coming up with a lot of deferred maintenance. This new administration is really
Yes.
shaking things up.
Yes.
I'm very happy we have a tree board that's cares so much. I believe we're a tree city, are we not?
Yes.
We are.
Yes,
Yes,
Which
we
is almost-
are.
it's almost
thanks
an-
to her hard
well,
work.
But it's almost an embarrassment, given that we have let things go so badly on a municipal level.
We're on the way back.
That, yes, that's what I'm saying. No criticism here.
Well,
I'm not trying to
we're a
criticize.
tree city for the 24th year, so, you know, it's
great.
been a historic thing, and
So we have to get rid of those pear
Yes.
tree things.
Yes.
and the burning bush.
And the tree of heaven.
And tree heaven. And mulberries.
What else would grow on railroad tracks if you didn't have tree heaven? I think it was at the presentation at the library, which I think I either saw on, I saw it either on the library page or, what was the other place? I might have seen it either one of the two places it was posted, because I checked both
Great.
of them. I think you said getting kids involved is great at planting trees.
And we plan to do that.
Right, and with the tree planting, I was just going to suggest we have outreach with, isn't one of our middle schools an environmentally based one? Krieger.
That's going to be folded into this grant application that I'm
Right.
making.
Because, you know, we need them with recycling too.
Yes,
Get some-
yes.
And that is something that we need to do, think about for the community tree planting, is making some connection with a school
Yeah.
or a Boy Scout
Scouts.
troop or some.
Girl
some-
Scout troop.
Girl Scout, whoever wants to show up and help us plant trees. But we need to make that connection before we get the trees.
Right.
So I think maybe we should be thinking about how we're going to do that and who's going to do that. Is somebody have a connection with the Girl Scouts that you can make, an inquiry or Jen and the Boy Scouts and the school, so we can actually put that in motion before the fall.
Well, if I could say about last year, there were a list of people that wanted to volunteer, but the date for the
Right.
tree planting got changed.
At the last minute, yeah.
And if you talk to any Girl Scout, Boy Scout leader,
Right.
they are planning their
Sure. You have
their
calendar,
days.
Right.
So as soon as we get a solid date for that tree planting, then it'll be
I've got 18
easier.
girls for you.
It'll be
Super.
easier.
But I need
to-
notice.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very good point. Actually, we do need a date on that before we can.
Yeah,
Jen.
at least 6 weeks ahead of time.
And we could also work with, I can't remember the woman's name who does basically the PR for this MCAS. She sends out their blasts. They have a thing called Peach Jar that sends out a flyer to all MCAS families. So all of the school families would get it.
I think the Scouts and the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts work really well because they have to do so many community projects like this. And
Right.
if we build a relationship with the troop and their leaders, then we can go back to them year to year, and it
Yeah,
can
but
almost become an expectation that every
their
year they're going to help us.
Calendar fills up fast, so.
That's
I
what
will
we
be
need.
your Girl Scout contact. I go to the leader meetings, so
Oh,
I
that's
talk to
fantastic.
all the leaders of the region.
We want to build an ongoing relationship, not just for this
We
year,
get the
but for every
dates, I'll
year.
take them to the leader
That's what we
meetings.
need.
Yeah, I will say, often troops tend to have a lull in the summer and then gear back up in the fall. But we can still get that information out so that maybe it's a kickoff event in September when they're ramping up.
And we don't need 50 people. If we get, I don't know, half dozen, 10
Well, we could.
people that actually,
Yeah,
kids
we'll
that actually
divide
showed
into
up.
teams is the
I
logical way
thought
to
too
do
about,
it.
there's like not dig the dunes, but maybe save the dunes. They have a big volunteer base. I mean, they may be interested in doing something like that too.
Sure.
Jen, do you have any idea when the trees will be available?
Likely in middle September.
Okay.
So I would not, we're also playing the limbo of finalizing our grant, but it's rolling, so we're planning. We're looking at probably the third week in September.
Okay.
So we might do the 21st, which is a Saturday.
Wouldn't it be safer to pick a day in early October?
It would.
So we
September
don't
can be
have
pretty
that
hot.
bait and switch we had last year.
Right.
I'm sorry, Scott, we're keeping you hanging, aren't we?
sorry.
Meanwhile, back at the
Let's-
ranch.
Yeah, we're supposed to be.
You
I reserve my time.
provoked a good discussion. Okay, we'll come back to that, but
Yeah.
I understand Dr. Cora is the liaison here.
Correct,
yes.
I would contact him, through him, I would have him contact Daisy Lee, councilperson Daisy Lee, who I believe is a teacher.
Yes.
At Barker.
So that, she's probably your way to get into the school system and get the right teachers involved with the right classes. And finally, my last note is about the Facebook page. My understanding, one, the city is getting an all-new website. They're scrapping eMichigan City. It's going to be michigancity.in.gov. And they're really excited about it.
Sure.
But the tree board should advocate to have a dedicated page there, for one. My understanding with the meetings I've attended regarding these Facebook pages, it's not so much that you can't have control of it. They don't want individual members having tertiary sites claiming their personal site represents the tree board or the city.
Oh,
So I don't think your official tree board page is really at issue.
And it is now called Friends of the Tree Board to, remove
Right.
it one more.
As long as,
step.
somebody's not claiming it when they leave the tree board, they take the admin password with them. That's the problems they've had in the past with Facebook pages. So it's not so much that you can't have control of your tree board page.
Yeah, and it is one that I've created, so, I mean, it needs to be more official or some other kind of control, which I'm perfectly fine with.
Just share the admin login information so it
Are you
doesn't
also an admin?
go with you.
so this
Anyway,
is
again,
good
thanks-
information.
Thanks for your hard work, and it's really great. We have a new forester who's really, I can see he's working very hard and doing a lot of things. It's great to hear about the grants. This administration is doing a lot of grants. They're also spending like drunken sailors because they're using this ARPA money, which is over at the end of this year.
Right.
And we have a structural deficit, which is something I brought up at common council last night, trying to hold their feet to the fire a little bit. It's like, we're gonna lose our top taxpayer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're adding a lot of stuff to the city right now.
Right.
And our taxes are gonna, take a hit. So get as much done as you can before the end of the decade.
And maybe that's something we should discuss at the next meeting of,
yeah.
if there are, you've been in discussions with the mayor, so I trust you.
So thank you all.
Scott,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank you, Scott.
much.
Yeah, Scott, thank you very much for coming in to our little workshop and following up on that.
There was an event on the Facebook page, so maybe that's where you saw
And
it.
it definitely wasn't Facebook.
Oh, okay. Well, you get a gold star for being a citizen.
So I think your
Sure.
comments about the Facebook page are really important, and of course, Betsy, Mary, you're going to be working with the city on
Hope
that.
to.
Yeah, that's
That
great.
is my hope.
Because I think that's a great outlet for us, and I don't want to see it lost. Okay, thank you for your comments. Next meeting is going to be August
7.
August 7th at 5:30 at this location. So we'll see you then. Anybody will motion to adjourn?
Oh, well, before we do that, should we still go to the farmer's market on August 3rd, or should we wait? Okay.
I think so. Why?
Do we need to decide who's going or how we're going to handle that?
I'll be there on August 3rd,
I'll be there.
Okay.
so maybe we can
I should be there.
communicate.
I expect to be there.
over-
And I have it on my calendar to email the board, reminding you all that the few days before that, Saturday, that we have that coming up.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, maybe we communicate via email to just coordinate logistics of that.
And I'll also send out a link to the municipal calendar too, so we can look at that before.
I was going to make final note that you might want to contact the clerk about updating the time on the calendar.
Well, I will. No,
Whoever does that, because that's kind of the gray area. It's one of the things I've complained about to the mayor.
Right.
The calendar is not updated, and it's like I can't go to meetings if they're not posted. I see them posted on Alcan after they've happened. I'm like, it wasn't on the calendar.
Okay, so the clerk is the key to the calendar.
I don't know if she is, but I know she'd get it to the right place.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
thank you, Scott.
Motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming and for your hard work on all of these projects that we are pursuing.
Way.
Your input.
Thanks, Scott.
Yes, very much.
Just out of curiosity,